We need a catchphrase.
I was thinking of one. I thought, what about like, yeah, we're dumb.
That sounds. We'll workshop it. We'll workshop it.
You don't like that?
I give it a 4.
Yeah, we're dumb.
Because I don't want us to be positive about our stupidity. We're supposed to be upset that we're dumb. I think
we're supposed to be upset we're dumb.
I've never. How many people are happy that they're dumb?
How many people name a show after something they're sad about though? Like
The Good Place.
Other than like the Browns.
What?
The Browns is like a sad name for a famous thing.
We'll still workshop it though. We'll
so I think we're celebrating being dumb comic creators.
We are celebrating being dumb comic creators. We just.
So like, what about we're dumb?
I don't like it.
You just don't like it.
Just don't like it. We'll get it. We'll get it eventually.
That hurts.
Yeah, I'm sorry for hurting your feelings.
Instead, you just remind everyone how this week I came with one. I was ready.
I had one. I lost it before, remember? I forgot to write it down.
Right. Well, I actually came with one.
Yeah.
I have it.
So you're better prepared.
Yeah, we're dumb.
Okay, everyone.
Don't like that.
Keegan Shiner, my co-host, and I am Eric Schwartz, is better at coming up with catchphrases than I. But I can't tell you what we are, though. Do you
I'm
know what we
not
are,
better
Keegan?
at coming up with catchphrases than you.
Well,
I just remember to bring them to the podcast that we're recording.
Okay, so you're better at being an adult when it comes to
being responsible. Yes.
Yes, being
My
responsible.
things. Yeah.
I guess it just makes me a dumb what, Keegan?
Yeah. You're dumb.
Yeah, I'm a dumb comic creator.
Yeah, you are.
But
and I am too.
And you are too. But we have somebody with us who's not a dumb comic creator.
No.
No. His name is Andyboowandy, who's come up with some great online comics.
Booyandy?
Yeah, Andyboowandy.
Andyboowandy.
It used to be Andy Boo Pandy.
Andyboowandy.
Oh,
yeah.
Was there a great decision that you changed it, or?
There's another cartoonist named Andy Pandy.
Andy Pandy.
Yeah. The lore is deep.
What about
I don't know what happened to him, though.
Andy Landy?
Yeah, because like Wandy doesn't really mean anything. Landy can mean something. I stick the landing.
Right. Andy Boo. What's the Boo come from? Andy Boo?
It's
That's
so
the
complicated, but basically it doesn't really mean anything.
So Andy Boo is the first name and Wandy is your last name.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay. Is that your legal last name, Wandy?
No. It's totally self-titled.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Artist name.
Like Eminem, like Banksy.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, so if my last name was Wandy, I could not name my kid anything other than Andy. Like my last name was Schmear, I would have to name my kid Locks and Schmear. Like Locks would be the first name, and would be the middle name, and Schmear would be the last name.
Like Taylor Swift, like Beyonce.
Beyonce and Schmear? Beyonce Schmear?
Taylor Swift's not a real name, is it?
I don't know. Probably.
Well,
I know Katy Perry's is in. It's like Jordan something.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I don't think any of Lady Gaga.
Right.
She should move those together. It should just be like Lady Gaga. Like all one word. Yeah. Andyboowandy.
Andyboowandy.
It's all one word? You go by Andyboowandy?
It doesn't make sense. It's one word, but I say Andy Boo a lot.
Andy Boo. Okay.
Yeah.
Does anyone go like, "Hey, Boo Boo"?
You know what? Most people just call me Andy. They're like, wait, I forgot.
Yeah.
Can I swear?
Oh yeah,
you can swear.
You can. Yeah. We gave up on the kids.
Yeah.
They're like, people are like, they're like, cut the shit. Your name is Andy. It's not Boo. It's not Wandy. So most people just say Andy. But
That's
I
weird.
try.
If they don't know your real name, why would they assume
when they say
it's
that
Andy?
by saying boo, boo?
Hey, Boo Boo.
Hey,
Hey, Boo Boo.
Hey, Boo Boo.
Hey, boo, boo.
Well, we're so excited to have you on. You made us a special cover,
Yes.
It was
which,
fun.
of course, we're going to use as the image for this podcast episode.
Yes.
Of course.
Of course.
If that's okay, actually, because you made it. So.
Oh yeah, no problem. I'll send you a better version.
Do I have to give you money?
No.
Okay?
And do it already.
Okay, cool. Well, so how did you get started making these?
Making comics?
Yeah.
I had this whole thing prepared because I feel very passionate about it. My whole thing is that it's not what you think it is. This is what you might think it would be like, that someone has talent and then they foster it over a long period of time and it grows steadily. But it's just like, that's not how it was. It's so hard. So I got into comics really young. I got into comics in 5th grade. Do you know the Landry News, the book?
No.
Oh, it's like a kid's book. It's by Andrew Clements. He made Findle. That's like his biggest book.
Okay.
Yeah, and you gotta read it at school. And the I don't know, it's like Laundry or Landry. The Landry News is about these kids that start like a newspaper for their class, but then it gets like really, really big. But when we read that in 5th grade, we wanted to do it for real, like my classmates, and I wanted to be a part of it. I didn't know what to do, so I tried to make a comic, and the punchline is that it was horrible. It was horrible. It was a mishmash of Terry and the Pirates plus Neverhood, which is an obscure 90s click and point adventure game, and One Piece. It didn't make any sense. And it was the first time that I had someone say, this doesn't make any sense. This is bad. We're not going to use this. And ever since then, I was just like, I have to do this. But,
you were rejected in 5th grade?
Yeah, it's
you
really
did the
funny.
angry point, I'm going to get you, and I'm going to get it better.
Does the editor of that newspaper now work for the Washington Post or some big newspaper?
No. All I know about him is that he has pretty impressive facial hair. So I'll give him that.
Oh. What is it? Like a full beard or what
it's
are we
just
talking?
really black. It's just jet black. It's really nice.
Jet black,
it's not long, but it's black.
Oh, yeah.
Like a Billy Mays.
Is it better than Eric's or worse?
Mine's bad because mine's not not growing because it's meant to be impressive. It's growing because I'm lazy.
Well, at least you guys can grow beard. I can't.
Yeah, I can't either. I had to shave. I tried to make a quarantine beard. That was my big summer adventure into beards, and it looked awful. It was terrible. So, well, I just killed the podcast. You've been a great guest. See you later.
Now that we've talked about our beards, what else is there to talk about?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're a 5th grader who's bitter and angry over his rejection.
It started out that way, but really what it turned into was an immense love, a crazy love. It was just there was a little bit of anger, but a lot of it was just I love comics so much. I would just think about it all day. I would be in bed. I would just be happy, not even because I made good comics, but just because I found something that I liked and that I could do it. And what happened was the sad part was I was so happy and so excited to do it, but it was just really hard. And I know that Jeff Smith.
Yeah.
He made Bone. Right.
Oh yeah.
Jeff Smith. So when he was a kid, he's been making Bone for a long time. He started it when he was a kid, and I would have this book with that would talk about his art and stuff, and it had copies of the things he drew when he was a kid. But the crazy thing is, I was in 5th grade, 6th grade looking at this, and he made it when he was 12, and I'm like, I cannot do that because my problem was I couldn't get past a panel. I would rarely get past one page. Yeah. Even if I drew everything, I wouldn't write it. I couldn't draw. I couldn't finish anything. I couldn't write. I had really bad spelling. It didn't make any sense. And I couldn't explain my ideas to people. And the kicker was that it was like that, I don't know, till sophomore in high school. I was never the good at art kid. I never was. And it's crazy because so many people you might see, you just assume that. You were always good at art. But that's not true. And
you had to fight for it, basically.
And I think everybody does, though. Yeah. I got this quote that I love right here. It's by Emmett McMillan, who makes video games. And other people say similar types of quotes. But he says, talent is a word that people who are babies use to describe themselves not having in order to get away with doing nothing and being lazy. Talent doesn't exist. That's actually a lie. You got to work for it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was not good at writing. I was not good at drawing. I really had to work at it. So never, ever think I want to do comics, but I can't draw. I want to do comics, but I can't write. I just never was good at it. I was bad in English. That's not an excuse. You have to try to do it.
Right. That's kind of why we have this whole podcast.
And that's why I like this podcast. Yeah.
Steve Hofstetter, who's one of my favorite stand-up comedians, who will always give the exact same advice no matter what to anybody who wants to do stand-up comedy. He's like, you have just to do it. He's like, don't spend your time trying to think about doing jokes. So you're going to need the greatest jokes ever. You need the greatest presentation. You need the greatest character. Get up here and do it. So like he'll actually like say like next 2 minutes, I'm going to drag you guys up on stage. If you ask me that question, I'm giving you that 2 minutes. Do a joke. It may bomb. Guess what? I bombed every single day for the first 5 years of my career. Eventually, I stopped bombing. So eventually, I started getting better. And now I can do this for a living. So get up here, do it, and just physically doing it is the key to everything.
Yeah. Do you guys watch Kill Tony?
No. What is that?
Oh, it's this crazy podcast. You guys would like it. It's at the Comedy Store, right, in California. And they make people like whatever, do their comedy for 2 minutes, and then they give a review.
Oh,
it's really
That
brutal.
really cool.
Oh yeah, they're brutal.
Yeah, but that shows you got to do it.
Okay, so you're a sophomore in high school, and you're finally being able to start. You said putting things off the panel at this point.
Okay, so here's the story. So it's just a very long journey, man. I had nothing to. Okay, so me transitioning to high school was pretty hard. You know, I was in a private religious like Christian school, so I went immediately into public school, and it wasn't clicking. I didn't know anybody. I had a best friend, but he left me. But he left me for the cooler kids like during freshman year.
That sucks.
High school's tough.
All I had was art, but not really, because I couldn't really do it. So I was like, I have to make a change. I have to really focus. I can't just do one page and give up anymore. So this is what I did. I did a sketchbook. I did one comic. I penciled it, I inked it in a sketchbook every day, like daily sketchbook comics. And then that changed everything. I would do it after school, even if I was completely tired or I didn't have a good idea. I still have that. I did like 3 sketchbooks after that. And also during freshman year, I took an art class with a comic guy that's like a real comic dude.
Yeah.
And I made like 3 I made one zine with him, and it was 20 pages. And none of this was good. Okay, the sketchbook was not good. The zine was not good. But I held it. I could look at it, and it was real.
Yeah.
And I did it.
Yeah, it feels good to get that first one done, or something tangible in your hands, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I recommend printing to anyone who's starting out too. Just even if you don't feel like it's your best work, if you print it and it's like a real thing, then like suddenly you are a comic maker, you know, or suddenly you are a painter, if that's what you're going after or something, you know. So yeah. So when did you start feeling like you had more confidence and like were making better work?
So this is what happened. I went to art school, but the crazy thing was I was spending all my time writing, and my drawing skills were not actually that good. I was in the class, and I saw this girl, and she was drawing on her hand. I was like, maybe she's taking notes or something. I looked. She was using a ballpoint pen, and on her hand, she had like, it looked like a tattoo, but she just drew it. And I was like, that's not me. I've just been writing and stuff. I can't do that. I couldn't even make something like that on paper.
What school did you go to? What art school?
Art Institute.
Oh, cool. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, a lot of comic people there. And then
yeah, there are. Yeah.
And then that was like a punch in the gut. And then I kind of stopped making comics actually. And then I was practicing on drawing. And it was that time period in college where my drawings got better. Then I moved to digital, and things just clicked. And I realized I was good at color. And that's when things kind of started, finally, in college, finally, it started changing.
Yeah. Was it because you practiced a lot then at that time? Or do you think it's just something clicked in your brain and it suddenly became easier?
It was because I spent hours and hours in high school and before that too. So yeah, it was a lot of those things, you know. I guess I'm kind of a late bloomer. Like also my personality kind of changed a little bit, and it was easier for me to talk to people when I got older. So I guess that's just a personal thing.
Well, I have this whole like theory about peaking, right? Like I'm always trying to avoid peaking because people like peak in high school and then they just live
Yeah.
forever like thinking about high school, or people peak in college and then like everything is about my college years and this and that in college for the rest of their lives, you know? And like, but I feel like if you avoid that, like, well, that was everything I'm going to do in life. If you can avoid that and you just keep getting better, you can just live your whole life like that. Just keep doing new things and learning and getting better at basically anything, you know? So yeah, I definitely am related. Wait, I want to go back to the art school. Did you feel like you knew everyone, or was it kind of like a large school to you while you were there?
I guess in retrospect, it is small, and I did recognize people. You know, it's like the same people outside that smoke. You know, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we've seen you around." You know, you in the lunch table is kind of small too, but I feel like it still feels bigger to me because I never really found my place there. You know.
Oh yeah.
So I guess
Okay.
technically it's small, but to me, it's this big scary thing still in my head.
So I had a similar experience going to art school. And I know I didn't get my undergrad in that, but like I also like doodling, you know, and doing comics. And I did like a webtoon when I was in college, but I never felt like I could draw, you know, and my friend had all these skills. So when I went to art school, I also was super jealous of the people who just knew how to draw realistic figures, like, or knew how to do like all these amazing art things, you know. But yeah, you find your own voice, right? Through that, like you kind
I
of
don't
like,
draw at all, and I'm perfectly okay with that.
yeah,
I don't like the art that even Keegan produces is much better than the art that I can do. The art that Andy you've just seen just on your stuff is just fantastic art.
Andy
Like
Boo.
Andy Boo. I'm sorry, I didn't see your full name. Andyboowandy. My fault. Andyboowandy's art just fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
So be okay with what you can do and work on your strengths. That's why I'm focusing more on the writing side, because I have read comics, I like comics, but I also know how to write. So that's where I'm focusing on. And then I'm getting help where I can from other people.
So you started getting better, and then what was your like first thing that is like, this is what I do. This is like,
So basically, this is what it is. There was a string of me doing series that I didn't finish. I did this. I think I did 10. I did this comic strip called the Not So Well Drawn Well, and it was about a badly drawn well that looked different every comic, and people I knew liked it, but I only did like 10. And then I did this other thing called Acid Pond, and it was about these ducks that were in a bucket of acid, and it was about like lots of fourth wall breaking and saying like, we're ducks, but why are we underwater? Wouldn't we be swimming above it? Like, we're always underwater. I don't know, just like silly stuff like that. And I did like 20 of those, but I stopped doing that. I mean, honestly, okay. So I kept starting comics and having to abandon them because it just became too much. And I forgot when, but one year, I started a new Instagram, and I'm like, I'm gonna do kind of like in high school. I'm gonna do something every day. I'm gonna make a comic. I'm gonna like rap because I'd like to rap for fun. I'm gonna put that out. It eventually evolved into, and I did it for like a whole summer. And then the biggest success that I've had is not a comic thing. I started doing covers for rappers, and then there was a period of that was my whole life.
covers for rappers, like
Yeah.
illustrations for rappers. Oh, cool.
Yeah, there's this. Okay, so this is my story. There's this guy named Glock 9, and he was gaining some buzz in Florida, and he had like a video that got really big on World Star. So then I drew that, and then he liked it, and he talked to me, he used it, and then we had a relationship for a little bit, and I did like 3 covers for him, and this was like legit stuff because he was signed with Cash Money, which is like Birdman, like, you know, Birdman,
Oh,
Lil
yeah.
Wayne.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was like a new Cash Money artist, and you know, I would talk to the manager, and I would I signed a contract one time.
Oh, cool.
Oh, here's another thing about me that I haven't said. There's just so many little things. So this is gonna sound like a joke, but it's not. I am very self-destructive. I get very emotional.
Yeah.
And it's not unlikely that one day I might just delete my Instagram or tear up comics or whatever. And I think that kind of happened. I was kind of like, I don't like this rap stuff. I was getting too many requests, and I just kind of abandoned it.
Yeah.
And then we're at where I'm kind of am now, where I make comic strips and I'm focusing on comics. That's really what I want to do. The rap stuff got out of hand. I know I could draw pretty good enough now. And yeah, it's been like a coming back to my roots period for me lately.
That's interesting. So, I mean, like, what was it about the rap stuff that like kind of got to you after a while?
Every artist wants commissions, and it's just like, it's just kind of like the stuff that you would assume would happen when a commission doesn't go well, you know, like the person keeps asking you to change it. It takes too long. It like every single thing is different. You know what I mean? You might be doing like something really cool that you like a graffiti type style cartoony, but then the next person is going to ask you like, hey, make me an X-rated thing and draw like 100 girls and stuff. Yeah. And it's just, it's like a whiplash kind of thing.
I see.
I can see that.
Yeah. Andyboo.
Andyboowandy.
May I call you Andy Boo? Or Mr. Wandy?
Mr. Wandy?
Mr. Wandy. That's a new one.
What's your current stuff? We have it here. Your current project is Birds of Sadness.
Yeah.
What inspired this little mini series that you're working on?
Well, I say right there it's a mini series, but it's totally not anymore. I'm probably gonna do this for a while, every weekday. I actually made 40 of these last summer. Do you know what I mean? And I held on to them for a really long time, and it was totally based on trying to make stuff that's more accessible. This is my elevator pitch. Birds of Sadness it's going to be, or it's supposed to be, or I want it to be like an emo Peanuts kind of. Because that's something that I would want to read.
Yeah.
And not like what emo means to me, kind of like more like Midwest emo kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Midwest emo.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm not. I don't know the different cliques within the emo. Is there a West Coast emo?
No, but there's like I forgot. But you know, there's like emo pop or whatever, and Midwest emo is like was its own kind of thing.
Okay. Are they like biker gangs now, where they wear vests that say what, where they're from?
No, it's like rappers like saying they do emo. That's what emo does now.
Oh yeah. Okay. Wait, emo rappers?
Yeah.
I am too old, I guess.
You don't know Lil Peep?
Lil Peep?
Yeah.
I do not know Lil Peep.
Gosh, I wish I knew Lil Peep.
Yeah. In some circles, he's very big, but he's dead. R.I.P.
Oh.
R.I.P. Gus. R.I.P. Lil Peep.
I guess I'll never meet Lil Peep.
He really was emo.
Okay. That's so emo.
He embraced the lifestyle.
He's so emo. Oh shit! I shouldn't.
He's not here anymore.
That joke is not gonna.
Sorry, everyone. Sorry. Cool. So these birds, are there different bird? Like, is it the same cast of birds?
There is 4 main ones. I actually might have a model sheet. Here's one of them. This is like an arrow one. I don't know if you could see.
Yeah, hold that up.
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
There's an arrow one, there's one with holes, there's ones with cracks, and there's one with Band-Aids. But then I make up ones sometimes. Or sometimes I forget, like they don't have the arrow. Oops.
What's your writing style with this? So can you pull them back up, Keegan, right quickly? There's specifically the one in the Funhouse mirrors. Like, did you have a joke in mind and build to that? Or did you just kind of like, hey, I was starting at a point and go there? So
yeah, I don't remember exactly how I wrote this, but I can guess. I get my ideas through words a lot. Like, like I'm like, and my whole big thing is that I like puns, but I only ever really want to do puns if I could like do 2 punchlines or something. Get 2 or 3 jokes out of it.
Yeah, because you got 2 jokes out of this one. Because the top right panel, there's a joke, and then just the pun at the end. So I was just curious because My writing style is I start off somewhere, but I don't know where I'm going to go. And so I always find it interesting when I see people that know where they're going to go, but not necessarily how they get there.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think about the beginning part first, or sometimes I think about the punchline first. It just depends.
Where do you write these at?
All on loose leaf. Like my room is just full of loose leaves. Yeah, it's been like that for like since high school or something. The reason why, like I said before, I made these last summer, I've been holding on to these is because I wanted to put them out when I was, when I was at a job and I couldn't make comics. So then I would have like 40 of this new series that I could put out. But
Yeah.
Corona happened,
Yeah.
And the quarantine as well. So you also have some other comics that you want to talk about? Are you a big Anna Faris fan?
Not necessarily. I mean, I like her, but I don't know like every little thing about her. But this was just like a funny opportunity that I thought would be fun to do. It's very confusing. No one likes it because they don't get it. But at the time on Anna Faris's Instagram, she was doing this, take a picture of it, and then she would come up with a story around the description. And then I was like, this would be funny because this writing is actually good. I was like, I like this. This is funny. So I wanted to make it into a real comic. So I spent like a ungodly amount of time on this. And I even sent it to her. She didn't say anything. Sometimes you send your art, people will respond. This time that didn't happen. But It's just like, I just think this is a really funny, weird comic.
Interesting. I do too. Let's take this moment to talk about your color choices. Wait, first of all, do you draw everything digitally or do you scan it in?
So, okay, this one, everything, I pencil everything by hand. And this one is a rare one where I did do it digitally, but I don't have a Wacom. So I did this with my mouse. A long time.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
But
you
like
gotta
all
get
those,
a Wacom.
Yeah, I had one and then I lost the pen. But did the pencils by hand and then inked over it. It took like 3 months or something.
Oh wow. How many this is how many pages? It's like it's like 6 pages, right? Yeah, it's very detailed too.
It's very, very detailed.
How did you do the colors?
Okay, so I'm all about just you can make stuff look professional, look really good, like with stuff that's not the best. You know what I mean? Like just how I did it with the mouse. And I don't use Photoshop. I use Medibang. You guys know what that is?
No.
Medibang is free. Anyone can download it. You can download it really fast. And yeah, it's kind of like a bootleg Photoshop.
Oh, cool.
But I do everything in Medibang. Yeah.
Nice. I've been using Photopea, which is a browser-based Photoshop.
Oh, I think I heard that,
yeah, you can use it on Chrome. But I've been doing all my Photoshop stuff on that recently. Medibang is what you're saying. Awesome. So do you do these aren't vectors then? These are
it's pixel. Yeah.
So do you have one layer for the color and one layer for the lines? I'm guessing.
The sad truth is that everything I make, there's always 100 layers. They're always unnamed. I always get confused. That's just how I work.
Okay. So a lot of chaos.
Yeah.
Is that something you're trying to get better at or something that that's your process now?
It's something that I know I shouldn't do and I make fun of it, but I'll probably do it forever.
I see. Okay. Cool. What about your color palette? Because it's really unique, I think. It's kind of pastel. And there's lots of gradients. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of it's also sort of fluorescent, I think, right? How did you come to this sort of style?
It's very odd. It's I used to color with watercolor because I didn't do digital for so long. I was never a color guy. And one day I just got good at it. It was I didn't try. I never thought I was a color guy. I always thought I was a line guy or a story guy. And it was just kind of like one of those happy accidents or little miracles. And I think that you will it took years to get to that point. So you should, anybody struggling with comics, keep going. You
Yeah.
might have a hidden talent within it that you don't even know about.
Yeah.
I don't know the theory or anything, but I always get compliments about I don't know what it is, but
Well, you must know. I mean, you know the basics of theory, right? Color theory and kind of what goes next to the other thing, like purple and green, for instance, in this panel. Like, yeah, I would say like this. This is like pretty solid color theory.
Yeah.
Green and purple and blue. You know, just like in general, like basic aesthetics.
yeah, I mean, honestly, I just go by eye a lot and feeling, and that's like
Yeah,
it sounds so loose, but that's really how it is.
I
That's
think
really who
that's
I am.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a natural. If you like, eventually, just doing enough of it, you get a knack for it. And as you said, you've been doing it for a long time. Something just clicked. Therefore, it works.
Mr. Wandy, do you have any
Mhm.
influences for your comics? Like anyone that you're looking at?
Also, do you see things as a pornographic memory just right now?
No, I wish.
Are we
That's totally like
stripping
a word thing.
Look at me right now. Do I look beautiful?
You always do.
Thank you.
But,
You do too, Andyboowandy.
thank you. Yeah, but my influences are, I was just a comic nerd, and there's so many that I like. The people that I say is like Charles Schultz. Do you know Mark Bayer? He's kind of obscure.
Mark Bayer?
I do not know. I don't know Mark Bayer, so
It's like Beyer.
Okay.
Yeah, he was friends with Art Spiegelman. Like he was in Raw.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I've seen these before.
What I love about it is that they look really crazy, kind of punky, but if you actually read them, they're really sweet and they're really nice and they're very peanutsy, but you wouldn't think so. And when you read them, like if you have a book of them, it's really addictive. You just want to keep reading the next one. And
what about Charles Schultz? Because you're sort of the first person we've talked to that really likes Charles Schultz.
I mean, yeah, like he's not usually the person that people say when they talk about it. Usually they say more like Mark Miller. Like
right.
him.
I mean, I like those guys too, but there's definitely a certain sect of cartoonists that have, this is kind of harsh, but like a fetish for Charles Schultz, like Chris Ware. Chris Ware, he loves the Charles Schultz. So there's Ira Burnett.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see how he would be kind of ripping off Charles Schultz. I mean, his character design, now that I think of it, is like very similar to Charles Schultz. Chris Ware. He did Building Stories.
Yeah.
Eric, were you the one that gave me Building Stories?
Probably.
So this is a funny story. Eric had this book and he got it as a gift from someone. I forget who, but he had like never opened it. It's this big box.
Yeah, it's giant.
It's called Building Stories, and he thinks it's like some sort of board game or something. So it's just wrapped up and it's sitting in his room. And I'm like, is this building? Like, he's like, do you want that? And I was like, okay. And I never opened it too. I never opened it either because I thought it was some sort of stupid board game. And it didn't make any sense for me to open because I was like always moving around. And then I went to art school and I took a class with Chantal Zachary and an artist book class, right? And the first thing she pulls out on like day one is like all these artist books, and then there's this big box that I have sitting in my house, and I'm like, what is this thing doing here? And she's like, oh, that's Building Stories. It's one of the best comics ever made. And I was like, no, it's not. It's some sort of stupid board game. She's like, no, open it. And then I open it, and of course it's fucking Building Stories, and it's like one of the best comics ever made. And then I went home and I like showed my girlfriend at the time that it like how amazing this stupid box that Eric gave me was. And then I called beautiful. Eric and I told him how stupid he was for giving me that.
That's amazing.
It's a really great comic, yeah. But Eric, it's got all these like little loose leaf comics in it, and they all kind of connect, but they also don't. But they live in a building, the same building, right?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Definitely looks like Charles Schultz. Building stories. Yeah, that's my funny building stories. See, that even looks like
Your
Charlie
building
Brown.
story.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Building stories. Do you like building stories, Mr. Randy?
Yeah, the first Chris Ware thing that I read was Jimmy Corrigan, but I
Okay.
read Building Stories too, and that was really good.
You probably didn't have a similar building story though.
Oh man, I wish. I would just get them from like the library, and then I'd have to give them away again.
Yeah.
Give it up.
If you ever need a great gift though, it's like a very impressive gift, and I think it's only like $25 now on Amazon.
Oh really?
Yeah. So if you ever need like to impress somebody with a gift, get building stories.
I've seen people do that.
Because it's like a fine art gift, but it's actually pretty cheap. Anyway, hot tip for our listeners. Grab building stories.
How to spend your money and how to become an artist. More at Dumb Comic Creators.
It's funny that you mentioned Peanuts because that kind of like made me want to draw comics too. Of course.
Yeah,
I was a Garfield fan growing up. That was the first comics I really liked, and that did not have that effect.
I read a lot of Garfield too.
I mean, I really like Garfield. Like, I don't like people speak downly about Jim Davis, but I actually really like his stuff, and I think it's a lot of fun.
I really like it too. I don't know why people hate on Garfield.
Yeah, I don't know why either.
I don't think they hate as much as like they realize that John is really pathetic.
Well, their big complaint was that like there isn't that much character development. Like the characters practically stay the same for a very long time, which is true. But
that's the way comics have always been, basically.
Yeah. But yeah, there's been like no character arcs or character developments though. It's just usually just John's a dweeb, Garfield is mean, Odie's stupid.
I got that book.
Oh yeah.
These are great.
Yeah, if you've never seen Garfield minus Garfield, it's definitely something to check out.
I've not seen that. Oh, that one where because
they erase Garfield from the strip, and it's just John living an existential life.
Well, because the joke is that Garfield, he has according to canon, John actually can't understand what Garfield's saying. So if you listen to it, it's supposed to be like really sad.
Oh yeah. What about the sweetness of these comics draws you in, Andy Boo?
Wait, what did you say? What about the sweetness?
Yeah, like why are you drawn to the sweetness of some of these comics?
I mean, I just like pretty things, like pretty ideas. I don't know at what age I discovered that, but I always thought that when you made art, it had to be really smart. But when you get older, you look at different things, you hear different songs, and sometimes you realize like, oh, I just like this because it's pretty. Like, what's that book? Like the Little Prince?
Yeah.
Like that's full of like pretty drawings and ideas and warmth and stuff like that. And I want to do that, but like Mark Baer kind of had do that with a little bit of grit, with a little bit of punkiness.
Yeah, your art is fantastic, but your words are very poetic. I would agree.
Yeah.
And sometimes they even rhyme, just to cap that off.
Oh yeah.
How much of your work is biographical? Because like a lot of your stuff like just seems to be coming like from a personal place. Like there's the Pan comic from the Depressed Birds, and then there's also one that we haven't shown or talked about was the picture of you. I don't know if there's a story that inspired it or just anything in particular.
You mean how I draw myself?
Or not even how you draw yourself, but like how you write. Like because your writing seems very like personal. Like not that like you necessarily put yourself in there, but that like just how you feel about certain things.
Yeah, like I see myself as a writer and kind of like a poet. Like, do you guys know James Kachalka?
No.
Oh, he was like one of the first people to do kind of like daily diary comics, like daily autobio comics in a journal. It's called American Elf. It's like really good. And I think he lived in Vermont or something, and he won an award, and he won the Poets Laureate Award. And I remember hearing about that, and I was like, that's crazy. But he's not a poet; he's a comic artist. And ever since then, I'm like, even if it's not official, even if Chicago or Vermont or whatever never calls me that, I want to be like that, like to myself, like be a comic poet laureate.
Yeah.
So that's how I view myself, and a lot of my stuff isn't autobiographical, but it does come from a real place. The way I look at it is I have a feeling, and then I try to make a character that fits that feeling.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's what I do.
That's cool.
It's very cool.
Well, lastly, I want to talk about this Cloud comic. What inspired this?
It came really fast. Just the whole idea is one of those ideas that came all at once. I haven't read this in a while. It's kind of like a detailed kind of comic, but it's all about like it's kind of like a Cloudception. It's like taking the idea of how you look at people and thought bubbles and all that kind of stuff. And I made it really quick. Like I called it Cloud Comic here because it's not like a part of a grand epic series or anything.
Yeah. Well, to me, it was like the layers of self-deprecation that this person has, like in between him and like having a relationship with another person, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So as she tries to like uncover these layers, there's just more self-deprecation, right?
Yeah, and it's just it's a mixture of who she thinks he is and then who he really is, and it's just kind of like uncovering the truth.
Yeah. Yeah, this was to me this was the most poetic comic in the samples that you sent us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like this one a lot.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
I really like it too. I mean, you said it very well. I didn't want to sound repetitive, but no, it was very good. That's why I was asking, just because that comic and the Depressed Birds, like, it sounded very personal. I didn't know if it was personal to you or just a grounded story.
Andy Boo, do you have any stuff coming up?
Andyboowandy?
I am doing I'm not doing rap people anymore. I am doing comics now, and I'm doing it every weekday, Monday through Friday. And for I said it was a mini series. I lied. I'm probably gonna do this for a while, and it's gonna be a feat.
Do you know how many of them you've done so far?
I think on my Instagram there's like maybe 31. It's like 20, 30, something like that.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
But I have a lot ready to go and a lot coming. And now's a great time to check out my stuff, before I self-destruct.
Where could they reach you at, Andyboowandy, if they wanted to see your stuff?
Oh, yeah. My Instagram is Bright Dollside, all one word. Bright Dollside.
At Bright Dollside.
At Bright Dollside.
Yes, sir.
Cool.
Well,
you've been great. I think you gave us a lot of insight on like starting out doing stuff and sucking.
And then also you gave us a lot of insight on your works as well, which is always nice to see.
Yeah.
You also gave us that kick-ass cover art, and I give score.
Yeah, no problem.
But it's like a success story, right, Eric? It's like somebody who couldn't do this for a long time, and then something clicked.
They worked so hard that talent became a thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
I still am not happy with your catchphrase, by the way. I'm still upset about that one. It hurts me.
We're not ending the podcast.
No, I'm just
we need to say goodbye to our guests.
Well, we can say goodbye. Or
are you confused about what we're supposed to be doing right now?
I'm confused because your catchphrase upset me so. I'm putting on my
That's
hoodie.
it. Andy Boo, you're the new co-host. Eric, you've been a great guest.
Hey.
I've been fired.
Not fired, just I'm not confused enough to like, you've been a great guest.
You can't fire me, I quit. Andy, you've been a great guest. Thank you for putting up with us. Thanks for putting up with us, as I just said, and be repetitive.
Yep. And
Yep.
hopefully we'll have you back on in the future.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Do some more updates. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well,
Cool.
thank you very much. See you later.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Special thanks to Andyboowandy once more for talking to us, especially about what it means to be a new comic creator.
Yeah.
What to do.
Yeah. It was really interesting to hear his story.
Yeah.
I feel like I related to that a lot, you know, in my own journey as an artist.
I do too. Just like where the idea that you suck at the beginning, but eventually you suck less to the point you no longer suck.
Yeah.
And you get good.
You hear about that in improv comedy all the time.
Yeah, you hear that in improv comedy all the time where people are like, yeah, you can take 8 billion classes, but the most important thing is go out and do it. And
Or
you're
like when they say like the most successful people in town are just the people who stayed doing it for like the 10 years, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, man, those guys must be. And they're like, no, they sucked. They were really bad.
Yeah.
Really, really bad when they started.
You see that because you see like these new people who just quit too early is the truth of the matter. I mean, just if you enjoy it, stick it out. You may be performing to the 20% audience after COVID, but still stick it out.
Or if you're drawing comics, keep doing it, you know?
Keep doing it.
Well, I wanted to do like a little preview because this wasn't like finished, but next.
What are we doing a preview of? There's lots of previews.
Next week's discussion will be about the inking of Death Maze 3.
Mm-hmm.
And this week, Death Maze 2 is out. It should be out today when you're listening to this. No matter when you listen to this podcast episode, Death Maze 2 is out. You can find the link on our Patreon. You can help support Death Mazes by signing up to be a patron. You only pay when we release comics. And if you don't want to do that, it'll be on our website, dumbcomiccreators.com, for free. So,
and we will have a special review again next week by my nephew Henry.
Next week,
Death Maze 2.
Yes, not this week, the day that it's coming out, which is confusing because we're recording it last week.
Yes.
So
last week, in 2 weeks,
in 2 weeks will be too long.
Yeah.
But next week I will be talking more about the inking of Death Maze 3. And so Death Maze 3, I got pencils from an artist. And if you wanted to see these, you could go on our Patreon and watch the video of this episode. That's patreon.com/dumbcomiccreators. And I'm sharing my screen, but I'm going to show Eric right now. So this is the pencils for Death Maze 3. And I've never gotten pencils before from an artist. They've always done the inks too. So this was new, and I didn't know what to do with them, right? These pencils are by Maurice Buckley. He's an artist in New York City. And, you know, you can see Bert and Ernie here. And so, I was like, I don't know what to do with this. So I went on Fiverr, and I've hired a couple artists to do some inking. You can see, here's one of the artists. And this is already fascinating. I can't wait to talk about this because they're so different already. Let me just show you. So one of the artists this week, I've only got like one panel per page of her art. So you can see she turned the pencils blue, and then she inked one of the panels, this panel. And then the other artist already finished and was very cheap, was only $20 a page.
That is very cheap.
Yeah. But you can already see the difference here in quality. I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Can you compare these, Eric?
Yeah, there's much more. The one on the right is much, much better.
The one on the right is better. Interesting. How come?
Actually, no, never mind. I don't know which one's better.
Well, let me give you the answer. At least to me, the one on the left is better.
Mhm.
And because the character has button chops, and the let's look at the pencils too while we're doing this.
So the one on the right, he has a beard, not mutton chops.
So I think
He
the
also
best
has-
way to compare this is to like line them up next to the pencils, right?
Mhm.
So hold on.
Yeah, so you can clearly see a difference between the cheaper one and the better one.
Yeah,
Because so the cheaper one or the better one looks much more closely associated than the
to the pencil.
to the pencil. As in the cheap one, the guy has a full beard. He doesn't even have mutton chops. Like
Right.
I didn't realize that. That's why I declared that one better, is because I prefer beard over mutton chops.
Yeah.
And
But it's
even
not
that
in the
beard
script.
though is not that great though.
But and it's not great because it's also not in the pencils that
Mhm.
he was supposed to be inking, which is interesting. And the ear is different, and kind of like the whole style of this character has changed.
He is a more he has a more drawn out face. It's not his in the penciling, his nose and eyes are much closer together than in the cheaper one.
Right.
Which is surprising considering you think he'd be just drawing on top of the penciling.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and get an inker on here to talk about what they were doing when we talk about these. But and so in this panel, for example, you can see that they followed the character design a lot closer.
Mm-hmm.
And what's really interesting is they did fix some of this pencil work, I think, to like make it make sense. And
so
like,
the left eye on the pencil so his right eye, for me, for his right eye in the penciling is not distinct at all. It's actually very blurry.
Right.
Whereas right now I'm looking especially in the more expensive one.
Yeah.
His eye is much different.
It's what they call rendered. Yeah. It's rendered out. Yeah, I'm very impressed with this. And that was just a test panel. She is still working on the rest of the page now. But I'm happy with that. Mm-hmm. And then you can see just another example of her work. It's just really well detailed and well done. Light and shadows. And I'm going to show you the comparison here.
Okay, so now I see a final inked version, and I see one that's final inked in blue.
Yeah, so the final ink. So this is one of the more expensive, one, and this is the cheaper one.
The more expensive one has a lot more details to it, a lot more added to it.
Yeah,
I think it's just done better. Period.
It's got more shadows and more rendering of the shadows, I think.
Yeah, and it looks like, especially to the right of the character in the cheaper one, he literally just looks like just
in the spotlight. Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to preview this a little bit. It's going to be a fun conversation about inking, and hopefully we'll get somebody on who can talk about inking, because I don't know much about inking.
I know very little.
Yeah. So, but I know that I like good inking and I don't like bad inking. And as we've just noticed, there's a big difference between the two. So, so that'll be a fun conversation.
That will be.
And again, Maurice Buckley did the art on that, and I think his art is fantastic.
I enjoyed it.
Hey, Eric, did you read any comics this week?
I did read a comic this week, actually. I read the comic Weapon of God.
Ooh. Wait, hold up that cover. Oh, yeah, he's got the Christ pose. Oh, he must be the hero of the comic.
He is the hero of the comic.
Ooh.
And if you notice, there's a cross and O for God.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Super religious, huh?
Yeah, he's the weapon of God. He works for the Catholic Church.
Oh, boy. I bet you love this comic.
I hated it. I absolutely did not like it at all.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
What was the story?
So the story is a person claiming to be an agent of the devil is causing mass tragedies. He's like blowing up buildings. He's causing other problems. He poisons Las Vegas, etc., etc., etc.
Okay.
He has the power to like look into people's souls and cause them to do his bidding.
Okay. Classic.
Yeah, classic villain. Nothing
Classic
special
villain.
about him whatsoever. And so the main character is the weapon of God. So he is the person that is to track him down and kill him or send him back. He won't kill him because he himself is not the person who's calling himself the agent of the devil. Is actually not human. He's an angel that follows Satan.
Okay.
And once per century, he's able to send out an angel to do it. That's what they pretty much said.
Okay. All right.
And there is literally no original storyline of this whatsoever. It literally is good guy is good, bad guy is bad, bad guy does bad, is able to sway people to his side because he's a charming bad guy, despite, having zero charm.
Wait, who wrote this? Who did the art and everything?
It was written by Jimmy Palmiotti and Justin Gray.
Okay.
And it was artwork by Giancarlo Carcuzzo. They're the same people that did Sex and Violence, who I was also not a big fan of.
Have we liked a Jimmy Palmiotti comic yet?
I thought there was one that you said like it was like the worker, like the girl is a prostitute superhero.
Right, but I wasn't like thrilled with it. I just know that it's a cult classic because it like turned the Justice League. It was a satire of the Justice League.
Yeah.
But I never said that it was.
Oh, okay. No, I don't think so. I think their stories are boring. Like they literally like take like your B action stories and and put them into like a movie. So like there's nothing like unique. There's nothing like good about it. It literally is just there.
It's like trash, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this one, I remember I got this one. I got Sex and Violence. I got them for free as a going away present when I quit the comic book store. And it's the only reason why I still have them. The only reason why I read them.
I got it. So what about the art? How's the art style?
The art style is fine. It's the Jimmy Palmiotti, Justin Gray art style, which is
no, they wrote it.
They wrote it, but like it's like dark colors, kind of like
no, just the art, Eric.
The art.
We're doing a comic book podcast. We go through the different layers of story, art, color.
Yeah, no,
lettering.
There's art.
Okay.
The art is kind
of
very dark. There's no bright colors. The characters are designed fine, but there's nothing like that really draws me to it.
Well, what does it remind you of?
All of their other work.
Okay. So it's just kind of like classic.
It's their classic generic.
Okay.
Like it very much reminds me of DC Comics, but not like better, good DC Comics. Just like basic DC Comics. It's your basic comic book art style. It's not that special.
Got it. What about the color?
Colors are.
I know you just want to rush through this, but I
don't like this book. This is not a good book. The less I talk about, the better I can forget it.
Unfortunately, you decided to bring this book to the podcast, so I'm going to make you talk about it.
And this was a new book that I read that is worth it to me.
Okay.
Colors? The colors are all blacks and grays.
Okay.
There's never like anything that's brightly colored. It always looks like it's always night out, no matter what it seems, even during the day.
Okay.
Because even like the daytime show, because there's a specific one. Let me see if I can find it.
Is it black and white?
It's not black and white. It's colored.
Okay. So it's just muted.
It's just muted. So like this image right here is the most colorful image in the entire book.
Okay.
And even then, it's still not that colorful.
Yeah, it does look like that
because
tree
she's
is
supposed to be running in the
black.
morning, and even then, it's just no.
Yeah, the tree looks like it's in pitch black darkness.
Yeah. Like it looks like it's dark out even with the sun out, and that's just because that's how they draw. Which is
okay.
I'm not
okay. What about the lettering?
It's your generic lettering. It's literally like, do you do lettering? Have you read a comic? Have you seen it? Yes.
So you're saying cheap letterer on Fiverr is what these guys do?
Cheap letter on Fiverr. The blams are the same thing you find in DC. The comic words are the same you find in DC or Marvel. It's nothing like unique. They've got like your basic punch sounds, shoot sounds, and your basic character things. There's nothing unique about it. It's been done.
All right. With that being said, what about the je ne sais quoi?
There's some boobies.
Is that all?
That's all. And he's not even throughout, like in Sex and Violence. There's barely any.
Okay. All right. Well, that sounds great. So it's like a stupid R-rated movie that you wish you hadn't seen.
It's the movie you snuck out when your parents weren't watching when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Or you snuck in.
Okay. So you think like a 12-year-old boy would like that comic?
Oh, he would think this book would be like super dark and badass.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So on a scale between like you're a henchman inside like the third layer of Inception, like one of those snow henchmen, you know, and you're trying to.
I have no name. I'm my only goal. I have nothing about me. I'm going to die.
Right, and there's just all these like loud, blah, like around you, like
time
all the time.
Time to walk up the stairs. Oh God, it's so loud. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, and you have to do that for like a whole year. That's your gig. You
a whole
live
year
on that base. Yeah.
Okay.
And the best being you're James Bond's like sidekick, and like you're the goofy character that hangs out with him. But then you double cross him. But then it turns out that you didn't double cross him.
You were a triple agent the entire time.
Right. Yeah. What do you give this comic?
A month in the Inception room. Because it's not that long.
Second layer of Inception.
Yeah, you're in the second layer of Inception. Because it's not that long. So
okay.
You know you're going to get it out soon. Because it's not a long book at all. It took me less than like a half hour to read.
Okay.
Bah. But while you're reading, you're in misery. And your only goal is like, why am I? And you keep on asking yourself, why am I reading this book? It's just not a good book.
But if you stop reading, you'll go into limbo.
Yeah, you might read some of their other books. You might go down the rabbit hole.
Cool. Cool. So that sounds just dreadful.
How do they keep on getting work?
What? Oh, these guys?
Yeah, Jimmy Platti and Justin Gray.
Well, at this point, they're like famous artists, writers, and people just want their books. But and I think they're original image creators too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's
Image Comics. So that has something to do with it too.
That has to be it.
But they have their own website, so that they sell them on. Well, I read a comic too.
Oh, did you? Was it better than that mine?
I don't know. I thought I was gonna have the bad comic this week, to be honest with you. Oh God,
no, you had. Well, okay. So, what was your comic before we continue?
So I'm a kind soul, and I like supporting comic books on Kickstarter. I think it's a good way to like study the craft too and see what other, indie artists are up to. Mm-hmm. So I spent $5 or so and got this comic called Terra Olympus.
Terra Olympus.
Yeah. So it is by Stephen Koch, K-O-K, Von Randall, and Sean Keenan. Written by Stephen Koch, illustrated by Von Randall, edited by Sean Keenan, and then lettered by P.R. Daedalus. So it's an indie comic. So you can only like hate on it so much, but the story is there's two of these so far, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Volume 1 is about 30 pages, I'd say.
Okay.
Which isn't really a lot, but
it's not terrible though.
Yeah, I don't know about calling it a volume. I'm just going to start right there. I don't know why this is called a volume, but so Terra Olympus is like this battle. The Earth was abandoned, and they like live on a spaceship, and so it's about the engineering department on a spaceship. So that's the premise.
Wait, there's no. But first of all, there's never been a premise where people had to leave Earth and live on a spaceship. It's never happened.
I'm okay with that because I like reading those stories.
Okay.
What I don't like reading are stories about engineers, and this is heavily about engineering. So if you are an engineer and that's kind of what you've dedicated your life to, this might be a great comic for you. But if you went to an engineering college like I did, I went to Purdue, and you are friends with lots of engineers and they drive you absolutely crazy, like mind-numbingly crazy, then this might not be the comic for you. And this was not the comic for me, Eric. It just wasn't.
It wasn't?
No. So Mia she doesn't follow orders very much. She starts off the comic by saving a cat from getting cut up by a fan in 0G, which is cool. Also, some of the action is okay.
Cats in the engineering room.
The cat had crawled through the ducts and ended up in this 0G environment about to be sucked into a fan. That's good. And then Mia and her boss, like, they fight in like a boxing fight that they do like on Battlestar Galactica. They have those like little boxing fights. So it starts with them fighting as like for bets, right? You know? And then her boss is super hardcore against the fighting, and she has this new recruit to train. So she spends the next like 10 or so pages explaining to the new recruit the entire world of this comic. Like, it's all set up.
It's all like it's all like exposition.
And what makes it worse is that this character Hannah is supposedly she grew up on Terra Olympus. So why is she asking questions about Terra Olympus? Like, she doesn't know. And also, Hannah is not an engineer. She says so. She says, I'm not an engineer. I wanted to be an expedition pilot. And Mia's like, well, now you're an engineer and you're in engineering, so that's what you're doing. So I don't know. Lots of contradictions here. So Mia explains, they go on and on about how the logs of the ship can't be tampered with. And if they are tampered with, there's backup logs for the ship. And then immediately after that, somebody tampers with the logs. And she causes a big funk about it. And her boss is like, ignore it. It's not a big deal. And she's like, it could be a big deal. And then he's like, no, it's not. I'm going to chase you. And then she stows away.
I'm going to chase you?
Yep. So she stows away on the ship that's taking off. And then she lies to that commander and says she fell asleep when they were taking off. And now she's on their ship. And
is she going to do the engineering there too?
Well, we get to that in volume 2. She
Okay.
does end up doing the engineering. They run into a satellite, and the satellite apparently has been broadcasting from Terra Olympus to another base. And that's spoiling volume 2, but it's been out for a while, so I don't mind spoiling it.
I also don't think anybody's going to care that much based on how you describe it.
Unless they're engineers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then, and then volume 2 kind of just ends with like questions like, how did the Earth end? And who are these other people? So I would say the story did have like decent cliffhangers at the end of the comics, which was cool and was something to learn from, because the to be continued like did leave you kind of wondering what was going to happen. But like, I don't trust this story to end in a way that I wanted to, or to not just continue.
I bet me anticlimactic. Like, what happened? An asteroid hit us. Whoa! Whoa!
They mentioned somewhere in here like there's mind controlling aliens that took over the Earth. Mm-hmm. So that was a thing that they just kind of threw in there, nonchalant, like. And I was like, mind controlling aliens? Please,
that's never been done before.
Please explain more, because the mind controlling aliens aren't in this comic at all.
Oh my God, the aliens are flying a sphere or a cube, maybe a triangle.
So the art, I'm gonna keep going. The art for this comic is like very well done character designs, and it has a lot of details on the like sci-fi stuff in the background, you know, because they work on a ship, so there's lots of like mech stuff in the background, you know. And it's kind of like cool sci-fi stuff, and they use these iPads, which are touch screen, very futuristic iPads and stuff. So, you know, I thought the art was pretty good. And the art again is by Von Randall. And I think volume 2 was actually even better art. Like it got really, the inking got heavier and more detailed, and to me it felt like the artist really kind of took command in volume 2, and you could really see what was happening better in volume 2. So in a lot of ways, like, that was cool to see volume 1 to volume 2, that it ended up looking better and reading better. I'm going to move on to the color. The problem with this comic, at least in volume 1, is that there is no color, and it was clearly meant to be colored, because
looking at this is meant to be colored.
Yeah, the inking is light, and when they do that, they expect the colorist to fill in the shading. But what you got in volume 1 was hardly any shading, and everything really kind of flows into everything else, and it's hard to decipher what's going on. And again, that's fixed a lot in volume 2. So volume 2 is like meant to be black and white. And so if you're making a comic book, make sure you tell the artist, hey, this is gonna end up in black and white. I am not getting a colorist, because I think they'll do something differently, you know, when they ink it or when they draw it. And we saw that in some comics by Mark Von Onen, right? Like his comic, the artist clearly thought there'd be a colorist in one of those comics, but as they progressed and they were like, oh, this is a black and white comic, the art got better, right? So
yeah,
I think it's definitely something to be aware of if you're going to hire an artist. But the actual art itself, the drawings are amazing. I think that was just a style choice that was overlooked in volume 1, that they fixed in volume 2. But overall, I didn't mind the black and white, even though I kind of expected it for a sci-fi comic. And I think color could have served the comic, because a lot of these things seem like they could be colored
right there.
Yeah. But on the flip side, you don't see many sci-fi comics that are black and white. So, and it didn't detract from the story, which was mostly about engineering.
How was the inking? The wording,
Oh, the lettering.
The lettering.
One more thing about color. The only thing that really could have used color were these these pods that they use to get air on the ship, are like artificial plants, and I really think those could have used color to like understand what they were, because they really just look like squiggles on the page. But besides that, so back to the lettering. The lettering was pretty clearly, it was just digital fonts, and nothing really stood out, and I think it served the comic just fine. Like, it didn't get in the way. But yeah, nothing too exciting about the lettering.
Okay. So was there a je ne sais quoi, a French term?
Yeah, I think this comic's je ne sais quoi, that it wanted it to be the engineering. And it spent a lot of time on this engineering stuff. But I have to tell you, like, engineering is really boring to the average human. And I realize there's millions of engineers out there and they don't think engineering's boring.
Or maybe they do.
I don't think they do, though. That's the problem with engineers is they don't know it's boring. And I know lots of engineers, and this is always the problem. And they'll talk on and on about engineering, but like engineering is just not that good. So when they spend like 2 pages talking about computer logs that were or maybe weren't corrupted or like hacked, and like 2 other pages about how the logs can't be hacked, and if they are, there's a backup. Like I just didn't find that fascinating like I should have. So anyway, yeah, that's what the je ne sais quoi I think of this comic is going for.
Mm-hmm.
Me reading this comic, I think the je ne sais quoi for me was just it had good art in volume 2. And kind of a decent premise of them living on a ship, although I don't think anything was like fleshed out 3-dimensionally. It was all just kind of like mishmash smorgasbord of like every sci-fi thing that you've ever watched, and they just threw in different elements, you know. So that's about it for the je ne sais quoi.
Okay. So on a rating from watching your pets and cats get killed viciously and you're stuck in zero gravity so you can't do anything about it, to finding super awesome alien species that are hot and love you and all that great stuff.
Okay, how many limbs do they have?
They have 5 boobies.
5 boobies. I didn't
5
say
boobs.
appendages. I said limbs.
Or limbs? They have 4. They're normal like that, but they have 5 boobs.
Okay, so they're still bipods.
Uh-huh.
I feel like we always go through this with aliens with you. Are they bipods? Do
They're
they always
bipods.
have to be bipods?
They will be bipods.
They always do.
Yes, but they have 5 boobs.
Why don't you like septopods?
Fine, they're septopods with 8 boobs.
Oh wow.
And they're just really cool guys. They're like, hey, we got this great beer. You want to watch our football? They're like, yeah, I totally do. Because they're awesome dudes.
That's interesting because septopods still wouldn't have enough like hands for 8 boobs, you know?
They're in various places.
Like you still wouldn't have enough hands to grab all of those.
It was a weird natural selection thing.
All right. So this comic I would give. Wait, what were the aliens doing? I missed it.
They're like, let's go shrink our boobs and watch our sports.
Okay. All right.
And you can hit on our hot women with 8 boobs. So
this was like watching a football game on mute with your pets.
Stuff's happening, you're lonely, and you just don't care.
That's exactly right. I really feel like this comic must be popular with engineers and has a lot of like cool sounding sci-fi stuff, and the art is good. Mm-hmm. But on the flip side, I don't think the story is great. The characters are 2-dimensional, and it spent a lot of time just world building in like this conversation with a person who should have known everything that she was being told because she grew up on the station that they were talking about.
She didn't need an expedition dump.
Yeah. So that was annoying. I do think the writing and the art got better in volume 2, and I'm sure that this series will progress with each comic, which is cool. So again, I found this on Kickstarter. My biggest gripe with this comic, and I've had some solid gripes so far, is that I am now on this guy's email list and I can't seem to get off. And also he added me to like a second email list that was like through his comic production company. Mm-hmm. And then they added me to a third email list, which is like comicstomovies.com. And like, I don't know how I got on like 3 email lists for this. Plus he's sending like not daily, but like frequent updates through Kickstarter, which also is like technically a mailing list. And so like I just get too much conversation from this guy.
And you're like, just back off, dude. Back the off.
Yeah. And like I don't like this comic that much. And I'm not gonna get Terra Olympus 3. I'm glad that I read this. I
So
do
you
want
know not to get number 3.
No, I'm not saying that. I think people should try this and see if they like it. And I know the third Kickstarter will probably have an option that you can get all 3 for a certain price.
Mm-hmm.
And that's definitely what you should do if you go on Kickstarter and you're looking for comics, definitely check out their digital rewards, which might have more than just one comic. For $5 you get like a few comics, because they're PDFs and they can just send them. So it's actually a really cool way to read indie comics. What do you think, Eric? Do you like having the comic physically, or can you read these on PDF?
I always prefer physical books, but that's just me personally.
Yeah.
I still own that whatever the electronic thing is that people use, a Kindle. I don't own that because I like to have my physical books.
I see.
But that's also just like me personally, and I'm weird like that. Majority of people, like I know, prefer Kindles because it's just easier. I know, for example, my sister prefers a Kindle over a book because it makes it just easier for her. I mean, it's a lot more convenient because like the books I have, they're bulky books, but I like them.
Yeah, I like having the physical too. Mm-hmm. I think for like things like comic books like this, mm-hmm. I like digital because I didn't commit lots of money to shipping and printing, and I also don't really care for this series, and as it turns out, I didn't waste my money,
mm-hmm.
really. I was more than happy to pay the $5 or $7, whatever it was, to try it, and to read it, which is kind of what it's all about, It's a cost of a cup of coffee, Eric.
Rather have the coffee than, I mean, I'm glad, considering how much I spent on this book. I still rather have God. Yeah, I dodged a bullet with that.
Yeah. Well, this has been a fun episode.
It's been a fun episode.
Thanks again to Andyboowandy.
Thank you, Andyboowandy. You're a very interesting and nice person.
Yes, you are.
With a great story.
Yes. And a very hip-hop name.
Yes. And who does rap covers. I thought when he said he did rap covers, I thought he just covered raps. Like music. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And he's like, oh, no, I drew them. Like, actual rap covers. Like, oh.
Oh, yeah,
cool.
yeah.
It's different.
You expected him to jump into a verse.
I thought he was going to be like, just like, I got this right off my back. Just.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping he'd rap. We should have asked him to.
We asked him to, and he said maybe later, and that was the way of saying no.
Yeah. Well, no worries. Maybe next time. If you have any questions for us, or you want us to review a comic, we are dumbcomiccreators@gmail.com. You can find us on Instagram @dumbcomiccreators.
Facebook @dumbcomiccreators.
Yep.
We also have a Patreon if you want to get some comics from us.
Right, and you can get those for free technically too, because we're releasing the Death Maze comics on our website. But we really appreciate if you'd support us as a patron for doing this podcast and for doing those comics. But we know that you might not, so we just want you to read them. Mm-hmm. It's a healthy decision, I think, Eric. I don't know.
I agree. I think it is a healthy decision to read.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we're patreon.com/dumbcomiccreators. You can also watch these podcasts on our Patreon. They're basically YouTube videos. You go on there and it's like, there's the episode and there's the video for it, and they're free posts. You don't have to pay for the Patreon or anything. You just go on there. If you want to follow along with our screen sharing on any of these episodes, you can do that.
Bye, Keegan. Bye, everybody. I'm Eric.
We're dumb. Yeah, dumb.
No, that's horrible. I want to forget that too.
Yeah.
Two things I need to forget.
Dumb.
No, bye. I'm hanging up. You're upsetting me.
Okay. All right. Talk to you later, man.
Bye.
Bye.